Today I'm looking at a product information bulletin by OHP on their new ornamental fungicide, Astun, a fungicide for effective preventative control of Botrytis cinerea, gray mold, on ornamentals. Botrytis is a pretty ubiquitous pest. I think a lot of people are aware of it. Certainly there are many different crops that are affected by this gray mold fungus. General information about Astun is such. Astun is a fungicide with preventative, systemic, and curative properties for control of botrytis on plants grown in commercial greenhouses and nurseries. That's important. I'm going to sort of deconstruct that paragraph. It's preventative, it's curative, and it's systemic. That means that this compound, which is isofetamid, which is the active ingredient, is systemic. It's translaminar. It will travel into the plant, and it will stay and have a residual life inside the plant. It is preventative, which makes sense. If you spray it, it will be systemic no matter what. It will ingress into the plant, and it will stay there. So if a botrytis spore started to oppressorate and grow on the plant and tried to make its way into the plant in an area where this compound was still active, then it would be summarily destroyed, probably. And that's why it works so well as a preventative, but only if it's used correctly. At least that's my take on that. It also has curative properties. You would think that would be obvious from something that is a pesticide, but some pesticides are really more like a suppressant in certain cases, so it's important to make that case here. Astun is most effective when used as a protectant fungicide and applied before the disease damages the crop. That's true for pretty much any kind of preventative sort of pesticide. Anything that's used that can be good as a curative is usually even greater as a preventative, with some caveats. Depending on disease risk and severity, users may expect protection for a period of 7 to 14 days after treatment. That would be its residual life in the plant. So one could expect that for 7 to 14 days, this compound would reside in the plant itself. Astun contains 3.33 pounds of isofetamid per gallon, 400 grams per liter. Isofetamid is a group 7 fungicide, and it says here that packaging is 1 quart, 32 fluid ounces per, or 4 per case. So you get 4 packages, 4 quarts, I suppose, per case. Restricted entry interval and signal word. REI is 12 hours. Signal word is caution. Let me go over that really quickly for people who aren't aware of those terms. REI is restricted entry interval. That means people should not go into an area after a spray until the requisite amount of time has elapsed. So for something that has an REI of 12 hours, if somebody sprayed it at 6 a.m. or 600 hours, then the safe time to go back into that area would be 12 hours later at 6 p.m. or 1800 hours. Signal word is caution. There are 3 signal words: warning, caution, and danger. They're just a succinct way of explaining the severity of the pesticide. So this is middle of the road caution. Not warning, not dangerous, but all pesticides should be treated with respect when using them. Nobody should be thinking that because something is simply a warning that it is somewhat more okay to go in without personal protection equipment. That equipment, by the way, would be long sleeve shirt, long pants, chemical resistant gloves made of any waterproof material, and shoes plus socks. Pretty standard, honestly. Mode of action. Astun is a member of the SDHI class, MoA group 7. It affects the mitochondrial transport chain. Use sites. Astun may be applied to ornamentals and bedding plants grown in greenhouses and outdoor nurseries. Very important. I'm going to say that again. Astun may be applied to ornamentals and bedding plants grown in greenhouses and outdoor nurseries. That's it. That's what this product is made for. It's not made for field crops. It's not made for produce. It's made for probably floriculture, primarily. So, floriculture in greenhouses and floriculture in outdoor nurseries. It's not made for other environments, and that's important to keep in mind when looking at this product. Disease is controlled. It is specifically made for one disease and one disease only, and that is Botrytis cinerea. What are the benefits of Astun? Well, according to OHP, preventative, systemic, and curative. Rapid rain fastness allows for efficient foliar applications. Foliar applications protects against botrytis. Excellent rotational solution as part of a botrytis control program. Easy to use, flowable suspension, concentrate formulation allows the user to custom mix their preferred tank mix partner depending on the diseases present. That last point is probably the most interesting. I'll go over it here. Basically what they're trying to say is that if somebody was dealing with multiple fungi and they wanted to mix, or multiple pests rather, they might be able to mix this with a different fungicide. So maybe you want to go over powdery mildew and botrytis, so you might use this combined with another compound. And because of the way it's been formulated, it is going to play nicely with more pesticides. Additionally, if somebody wanted to mix an insecticide and this fungicide product, it would be easier to do this and to accomplish a sort of more broad spectrum treatment in one go around. Application and rates. Foliar spray. Applications of fungicides should begin when conditions are favorable for disease development or when plants first exhibit disease symptoms, from germination to mature crop. Use another fungicide with a different mode of action after 2 Astun applications. That's important. They are saying that if you're going to use this product, use it before you really need to. And that's true for pretty much any pesticide ever. And because it's systemic, it's able to reside in the plant for like 2 weeks. So if somebody knows in their outdoor nursery or their greenhouse, they might know that the environment of their greenhouse mostly doesn't change. But they might know that during certain seasons, it's more likely that they'll come across botrytis than others. And in that case, it would be prudent to apply this compound before that time, but very close to it, so that the first spores of botrytis that try to develop and germinate on their crops fail, which can stunt their growth for the developmental season that is difficult to deal with. What somebody should not do is wait until the very last moment, to wait until the disease has spread quite a bit. That would be important regarding crop scouting. That's sort of a function of the grower, and has less to do with the product in question. The product can only do as well as it's going to do, and people can supplement that by using it in an intelligent or clever way, or they can rely on it as a crutch and not use it in a smart way and use it more like a cudgel. This sort of product is definitely made to be used in conjunction with other fungicides. For botrytis, it's made to be used in conjunction with other treatment as part of an IPM system. The vast majority of people use an IPM system nowadays to manage resistance. The rate is 10 to 17 fluid ounces per 100 gallons, 7 to 14 day interval. So right after the residual effect kind of fades, you can apply another time, but only twice. So for 1 month, one can make 2 applications and be okay. And at that point, somebody should choose a different group MOA. And that's what this is saying. Note, applications should be made prior to disease development and should be made in conjunction with good cultural management practices. Use the higher rate when disease risk is high. Under some conditions, the use of adjuvants and/or surfactants may improve performance. Astun may not be used through pressurized drip trickle systems or micro-irrigations systems, such as spaghetti tube or individual tube irrigation, or ebb and flow systems. Tank mixing. To determine the physical compatibility of Astun with any other product, use a small container to mix a small amount of spray solution containing all ingredients in the same order and ratio as the anticipated use. If any indication of physical incompatibility develops, do not use and discard. Indications of physical incompatibility usually appear within 5 to 15 minutes of mixing. Down below, on the second page of this 2-page bulletin, we have products labeled for control of botrytis, from OHP of course, and suggested recipes for botrytis control, also with OHP products. Because earlier in this bulletin they mention the use of different modes of action and different chemical classes, it's important to consider your options. And here OHP has different modes of action and products that can fulfill those requirements. OHP's CHIPCO 26019 is a dicarboxamide of the MoA group 2. And remember, Astun is MoA group 7, so those are different. They both have the same residual, 7 to 14 days, and both have the same REI of 12 hours. So this would be a good product, ostensibly it would be a good product to use in conjunction with Astun, of course, provided that these products are good to use in the same environment. Again, fungicides, pesticides of any kind should be used in the environments they're made to be used in, and sometimes those are not the same. OHP's 6672 50 wettable powder, or OHP's 6672 4.5F, that's a benzimidazole. It's a MoA group 1. Residual is also 7 to 14 days and also 12 hours, so that might also be something to consider. Triathlon BA, that's a biofungicide with an unknown mode of action. I'm guessing it probably consumes or in some way suppresses the Botrytis organism. Its residual is 7 to 14 days and its re-entry interval is 4 hours. So it might also be something to cycle, especially since biofungicides tend to not have the same resistance issues that chemical controls have. There's also a suggested recipe for botrytis control. I'm not going to go over it in too great a detail. If you have any questions about how to use this product, very important, you should reach out to the company. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I would love to help anyone out who is struggling, but there are also trained professionals over at OHP who may also be able to assist you, perhaps in a way that I cannot. But if you're in an emergency, or you would just like to ask some general questions about IPM management in general, feel free to drop me a message. And look forward to other reports on different pesticides that people use in agriculture.